Hi everyone, it's Kara here from Boho and I am back with a brand new video for you all today. Last week, I know I promised that I was going to come back with a recap of my mega planning weekend, and I still have that in store for you. However, this video kind of took precedent. And the main reason for that is that this video is all about NaNoWriMo. And for those of you that don't know what NaNoWriMo is, you are in for a treat. If you've ever wanted to write a novel, write a book, NaNoWriMo is for you. It is short for National Novel Writing Month. And I announced on my blog earlier last week that I'm actually going to be participating in my first ever NaNoWriMo this year. And the gist of NaNoWriMo is that it's a challenge. It takes place every November. And your goal is to write a 50,000 word novel from scratch throughout the month of November. So you start on November 1st and you have to submit your novel by the end of November at midnight on November 30th. And if you are able to do at least 50,000 words, you win. And NaNoWriMo is something that I have thought about doing for several years now, and I never really got around to it. I always said I didn't have enough time. And funny enough, this year when I have a million things on my plate was the year that I was like, hey, I'm going to go for it. It's now or never. So I'm really excited to be doing NaNoWriMo this year, and I'm excited to write some fiction. I haven't really written a whole lot of fiction really since my high school years. I used to write a lot of short stories and poems and things along those lines, and I kind of lost that throughout the years, and I'm excited to dive in and write a fiction novel. If you're curious about how I'm getting started with NaNoWriMo, I'll link you to last week's blog post, and then I'll also have a companion blog post for this video out today. So definitely head to my blog to check those out. And today's video is all about my NaNoWriMo Bullet Journal. Now, originally my plan was to just track my NaNoWriMo progress and do my NaNoWriMo planning within my current bullet journal. However, I soon realized that I was writing down a lot of information like resources and plot ideas and things along those lines, and that made me realize that I was going to run out of room in my bullet journal very, very soon if I kept that up. So the idea was born to have a separate notebook for my NaNoWriMo planning, and I have dubbed it a bullet journal because I'm actually using a lot of the bullet journal basic techniques in order to keep everything organized. So today I'm going to give you a quick overview of how I'm using this notebook to plan for NaNoWriMo, and I also have a special treat for you at the end, so stay tuned. So if we're ready, let's do it. Let's open her up. So I started with my favorite, an A5 size Leuchtturm in a dot grid. This is the lime green color, and I'm kind of in love with it. I never really thought I would like this color, and I kind of on a whim, I was like, you know what, I want something different. I want something bright. So I went with this lime green, and I love it so much. Okay, so let's open her up and I'll show you the inside. All right, so on the very first page, you'll see I have this set up in true bullet journal style. I have my index at the front, and I've decided to use a little color code as well. So green is for world building, purple is for plot, orange is for characters, light blue is for titles, and pink is for my general planning pages. So I have all of these color coded here, and then they are also color coded throughout the book. You'll see when I turn the pages here a little bit, you can see all of my color codes on the edges of the pages. My idea here is that I'll be able to easily flip to, if I'm trying to do some character development, I know I can flip to my orange pages and get some ideas on whatever I'm working on. All right, so we turn in, we've got our index here, and then I did a little cover page. I'm planning on hopefully doing some little doodles and decorating this a little bit more, but I just wanted to have a little cover page here. And then my very first spread is my Prep-Tober checklist. And Prep-Tober is what a lot of NaNoWriMo participants call the month of October, because a lot of people, me included, like to have a really solid plan when you head into actually writing on November 1st. So my plan in October is to have my plot outlined, have all my characters at least mostly developed, and do some world building as well. So I want to have a general idea of my story, how I want everything to go. That way when November 1st comes, I can just hit the ground running. Now, in the NaNoWriMo world, there are planners like me, and then there are pantsters. And pantsters are the people that kind of fly by the seat of their pants. On November 1st, they might have a general idea of what they're going to write, but they don't have an outline done or anything like that. They just hit the ground running and start writing. And if you are one of those people, kudos to you. I wish I was that way. Unfortunately, the way my mind works, I would freak out and just freeze and not be able to write anything. So having a general idea and a plan in my head for me is the way to go. So on the left-hand side, I have my checklist here for the month of October. I'm doing pretty well on it. And then throughout this, you're going to see quite a few resources that I've kind of pulled off the internet, different blog posts that I've loved and things like that. And this is one of them. This is one of my very favorite resources for novel writing, especially in the month of November. And that's from betternovelproject.com. And she has a NaNoWriMo outline. And the idea here is in these pre-stages, these are what you're going to do in the month of October. You're going to get your idea for your story, chart your characters, and then describe your plot. So you have a general idea and then outline everything. And then based on this story structure, if you write 1,667 words per day, which comes out to 50,000 words at the end of the month, and you write 1,667 words on each of these topics, you'll have a rough draft of your novel. So I'm not sure if I'm going to follow this per se, but it was a pretty cool layout and a pretty cool idea, so I decided to throw it in my bullet journal for future reference. After that, I have my 2 monthly logs. This is another nod to the bullet journal system, and I have one for October and one for November. So this is basically my prep month, Preptober. So I decided to kind of color code this as well with tasks and events for NaNoWriMo, with my work schedule and my personal schedule as well. The idea here is that I'll be able to kind of see what I have going on during both of those months and be able to plan around that. So in November, I have a lot going on personally. I'm going to be doing some traveling, and there's a couple of birthdays in there, and of course Thanksgiving. So there's going to be some days when I'm not going to be getting a whole lot of writing done. So my plan was to kind of have this at a glance so that I can see when I need to write more, when I can afford to write less, and try to plan everything out so that I can hit that 50,000 goal at the end of the month. All right, after that, I have some ideas for titles, and you'll notice some of these I have some little sheets washi taped over. That is just because they are complete spoilers for my book, and I don't want to leak any of that out before anything's written. So I have some title ideas, I have some plot ideas, different plot twists. Then I have a list of character names. And basically what I've done here is I've gone online or thought through my memory of different names that I love, and I've just written them down, male and female and some surnames. And then I've started combining them into some of my favorite combos. And I have this blocked out as well because quite a few of these ended up becoming characters for my novel. So I don't want to spill those beans quite yet either. And then after that, I have some character archetypes. And I got this from another website up here. It's TamiCowden.com. And she has a great breakdown of some different character archetypes. So we have heroes, heroines, and villains. So I just wrote a short synopsis from her website of each of the different archetypes. So I have those for future reference later. And then after that, this is from shesnovel.com. I loved this little list she had of 33 ways to write stronger characters. So I decided to include that within my journal as well. And then after that, I went on to personality types. And for personality types, I like to use the Myers-Briggs assessment, or MBTI. And I love this because I can kind of quickly see at a glance each of the different 16 personality types, what their main characteristics are. And I got these brief descriptions from a website called 16personalities.com. And on that site, you can actually take a test for whatever your personality type is. So you go on there and take a test, and it'll let you know what your personality type is from the Myers-Briggs. And it's really cool to kind of get those insights. And every time I've taken this test, for the most part, I get INFJ. Every once in a while when I take it, I get INFP. So I feel like I'm kind of in between those. But I love it because once you kind of know your characters, if you go onto this website and take the test from your character's perspective, you can get a lot more insights into your characters as they evolve. It's really, really cool. So I love that. And then this list here is again those 16 personalities. And I got this, I wish I had a reference for it. It was just an image on Pinterest. And when I tried to find the source of the image, I could not find it. But I copied it down. And I really liked it because it broke down each of the personalities and what their main characteristic is, and then a few of their different strengths and weaknesses. So I really liked having that in here as well. After that, I have a couple of pages for kind of world building. I have some different settings where my story could take place, and then magics and sciences. So getting really into, because my novel is actually going to be a sci-fi novel, so it's going to have more science than magic, but I really liked having a place to just jot down quick ideas for different ideas for sciences and magics that could occur in my story. After that, I have some plot archetypes. So these are some typical plot themes that are found in books. I found this online as well in a variety of places, and I kind of just summarized the 7 different plot archetypes. And then I have a page on the right here for what if questions. And I really like what if questions, especially when you're trying to think of different sciences and magics if you're doing a fantasy or sci-fi novel. I feel like those what if questions really help you to kind of further everything. So I have a couple here. I decided not to blank them out because they don't directly correspond with my current story, but I thought you might find them interesting. So what if human souls could live on the internet? Or what if everyone has a visual expiration date? So anytime a what if question comes to my mind, I'm going to jot it down here. And then after that, I have my NaNoWriMo Tracker. And if you saw my blog post last week, then you will remember that I had a different kind of tracker set up, and that was this one that I created and printed and put in my file of facts, which, P.S., I'm going to be moving into this file of facts at the beginning of next month. So the Plan With Me video this month is going to be all about me transitioning into my file of facts, which is so exciting. But this is the original tracker that I came up with. It's a little more in depth. I had my daily goal, my daily actual, words to date goal, words to date actual, and how many words to go. And then I had this set up to where I could just color it in and write in rewards for my milestones along the way. And while I really like that, I kind of got to thinking, and I was like, how can I make this different in my NaNoWriMo Bullet Journal? And I decided that I wanted to do a line graph. So kind of based on the line graph that exists on the NaNoWriMo website, which is nanowrimo.org, I decided to do a line graph. And when I set it up here on the left-hand side, I had all this room on the right. So I decided, what the hey, I'm going to draw a bookcase. So I got to doodling in here, and I decided to draw my little bookcase. And lo and behold, when I finished it up, the idea hit me. I was like, oh man, like I should have done it to where each book was a day, and I had 30 books on the shelf, and I'd have to color one in for each day that I write in November. And once I did that, I decided to count them, and I realized that on these top 4 shelves, there are exactly 30 books. So I think it was meant to be. So I decided to just color everything else in, leave those 30 books blank, and then during the month of November, I can color in a book for each day that I write. And then the way this line graph is going to work, you can see the faint mint line that kind of goes up, and that goes up at a consistent pace because your main goal is to write 1,667 words per day. And then what I'm going to do is actually draw a different line in a darker green down here, and that is going to be the actual amount of words that I write. So that line is going to be a little bit different than this main line. And for those of you curious, I colored this in with my Tombow dual brush pens. I really, really love these pens because you can see I was able to color everything in, and still when I flip the page, you can't even see it on the other side. So that is one of the reasons I absolutely love those markers, especially in the Leuchtturm notebooks, is there's no blade through to the other side. So I highly recommend them if you're doing something like that. And then I believe this is my last page. Yep, this is character motivations, and I got this again from shesnovel.com. She had a list of some different character motivations and why you would want to give your characters motivations and what motivations do to advance your story and things like that. So I really, really liked that, and I decided to throw that straight in. And that is it so far. I'm going to have a lot more resources, a lot more planning pages in here as time goes on. And one thing that I love about having this as a separate bullet journal is the fact that it's going to last me a lot longer. This is basically going to be my writer's journal, my writer's Bible. So anytime I have ideas or resources or research, that's all going to go in here. I have decided that I am going to be handwriting my novel. I know that sounds crazy, but I am going to be handwriting everything. So I'm actually going to have a separate notebook in which I'm going to be handwriting my novel. So none of my actual writing is going to go in this journal. This is mainly for planning and reference and resources. Also, I had posted a picture of this over on Instagram earlier this week and y'all went gaga over it. So I decided to turn it into a free printable for you all. So I actually have a couple of versions. A lot of people really liked the tracker itself. So I have the tracker with the bookshelf on the right-hand side, and this is printed on a regular 8.5 by 11 printer paper. So I have it set up to where you have this faint gray line is your goal, and then you can fill in your own color for your actual writing. And this will be available as a PDF. So what's great about that is you can resize it when you print it. So if you want to shrink it down to fit, for example, on the side of an A5 page, you can absolutely do that. Another option is to kind of just tape it into your journal as so. And then a lot of people wanted the bookshelf on its own. They thought it was really cute, which I agree. I think it's adorable. So I did the bookshelf on its own, and I did it nice and big to fit an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. The reason I did this is so that when you shrink it down, it doesn't lose any of its quality. So if you decide to download this one with just the bookshelf, remember you're probably going to want to shrink it down so that it fits into your A5 journal, unless you have a larger journal and you want the larger size, or maybe you just want to print it on a big piece of paper and color it in. Up to you. And as always, any of my free printables, they are always available in the Tribe Resource Library, which if you don't know what that is, that's a free resource library that all of my tribe members have access to. To become a tribe member, you simply need to sign up for my email list. I'll leave that link down below for you as well, and you'll get a link and a password to access the resource library, and you'll be able to log in and download not only this, but any and all of my free printables that I have available for you all. So that is it, y'all. I hope you enjoyed a tour of my NaNoWriMo Bullet Journal, and I will look forward to seeing you all on Monday. Bye!